Good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown. I'm a somatic nutrition therapist and intuitive eating expert. And I wanted to do a little bit of a summary video today because honestly, I have a lot of new people on this channel. And I also have a lot of people who've been watching us in our work. And when I say us, I mean, we do have a team of dietitians that, really works hard behind the scenes tending to honestly people's needs. So it's not just me, but we've got some others that have all kinds of expertise in family feeding and sports nutrition and gut health, all around the under the umbrella of normative eating. So eating from hunger and fullness, recovering from disordered eating, all those things. So anyway, I wanted to do a video around how do you know that you're ready to move on to some bigger, deeper steps. And oftentimes when I've talked with people who've been trying to do this like food freedom process for a while, maybe years. And there's some things that sometimes we bypass, and not because we meant to, we just didn't know. So I'm going to talk about the basics are when you first decide to I'm not going to restrict anymore. I want to get a hold of this binging. I want food to just be food. What we sometimes forget is actually the food part of this. So I want to encourage you. So step number one is, of course, stop dieting, but also really start to have a routine of regular eating. It's almost like, how do we build a new neural pathway of, all foods fit and I can eat from hunger and fullness if we don't practice it. So most people don't do well with waiting hours and hours and hours after they wake up to eat and hopefully waiting for your hunger to appear, because sometimes it won't. If your metabolism is suppressed from dieting or from the chaotic eating of restricting one day, binging another, or restricting and binging, it's hard to wake up hungry. And it's just hard, because your body, if your body does do some deprivation driven eating, you might not wake up hungry. So step number one is wake up and eat within the first hour or two of getting your day going. Doesn't have to be a buffet breakfast and all the food groups, but if you wanted to, you could. But what I can tell you is that it'll get your body, what's the right word? It's almost like when I did this process, I felt like when I ate regularly, so I got up, breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, snack, my body started to get in this routine and rhythm of trusting me to get fed. It's almost like I was repairing some attachment relationships with myself by providing food. So if you're not doing that already, I would suggest do that. And also recognize that if your meals still look like diet meals and you're hungry in 2 hours, well, that's to be expected. So just put that out there. So regular eating. Now, if you're more of a seasoned veteran of this work, you might already be doing that. It's going splendidly. But if you're finding yourself kind of getting bored or whatever, it's probably time to try some new things. But I'm going to do a little bit more advanced video on Wednesday, so my advanced viewers can we can have a conversation about how to we deepen this practice or in this process, and just really get to a place where food is totally food again. You can totally get there. I know Mary's here. Good morning, Mary. She said hi. Mary, I know you're a little more seasoned, so if you wanted to put in the comments below, some things that you would like to see happen on Wednesday's video, please do that. And I'd be happy to talk about those things. So number one, if you are going to stop dieting today and eat with more permission, then really consider having a routine or a pattern, because it teaches your body to trust that you're a trustworthy adult, competent of feeding that body regularly. Okay, so number two, of course there's other nuances to that, and I didn't mention those. Number two is, remember that diet culture is a culture and it has its own language. It's just like going to another country or another region, at least of the United States, where people have different vernacular and words mean different things. So in diet culture, healthy means low calorie, and unhealthy means higher calorie stuff. And I know this because when I look at people's food, the first several weeks to months of their work with me, their mind is so brainwashed with oh, I had a really healthy lunch. And it's like a piece of half a sandwich with a little bit of turkey, a fruit, and maybe some vegetables. Oh, it was so healthy. And then I blew it the rest of the day because then I had 4 Snickers. And it's okay, wait, stop. Tell me about what makes lunch healthy. oh, well, like, the truth of the language is, the truth of your meal is that meal was low calorie. I'm not saying it wasn't nutrient dense. It was nutrient dense, but that's not the same thing as physical, mental, and emotional health. Because if you're missing food groups and you're depriving yourself and you have fear and angst about your food, it's not all that healthy. It's just low calorie with some nutrients in there. That's great. And then if we deem the next thing, the snack, as bad, so good and bad. So good and healthy usually means low calorie in diet culture language. Bad and high calorie means unhealthy. So you see that these words don't even match the circumstance. So if somebody had 4 Snickers after like this low energy lunch, I would say, well, wait a minute, like this lunch is actually pretty appropriate for, or this snack is pretty appropriate, even though it felt out of control for what you did at lunch, because lunch had hardly any fat, not enough carbs, not enough energy. So of course you had 4 Snickers bars here. And even these Snickers bars have nutrition. They have nutrients in them. It's just that it probably didn't feel great mentally or emotionally, maybe even physically, to eat that at one time because it felt out of control. But it actually makes sense physiologically, the doing of it. So we have to recognize that we have to clean up our language. Instead of labeling food as good, bad, healthy, unhealthy, or yourself good or bad, really look at the truth of the situation. Oh, like, I know that, like, I'm afraid about weight gain, and so that's why that lunch happened the way it did, and then my body couldn't take it anymore, and this is why the snack happened the way it did. That's the truth. And to fix that, again, we have to give ourselves full permission to eat more, eat enough, and maybe eat a bigger variety of food. That way our body isn't driven for that to happen. And then you might find that you have the same amount of food, but it's just dispersed differently, and you feel better physically, mentally, emotionally. So clean up your language. It's really important to look at eating in a way of supportive, non-supportive. It's not that we're saying that it doesn't matter. Like, if you only eat low nutrient dense foods, your body will tell you need more anyway. It's really important. So I call it clean up your language. Notice how you think about the food. Notice how you talk about your body. If you don't do these things, you basically end up self-sabotaging all the time if you're judging your food or judging yourself based on what you're eating. That's just a reality. We will rebel against being self-abused, basically. All right, so number 3 is that recognize this as a process. Most people come into this work thinking, okay, cool, I'm going to see the dietitian for 4 sessions and I'm set. And it's like, this is not a diet. We are literally building new neurobiology in your system to be able to think differently, behave differently, and basically feel like food and your body, they aren't bad, and there's relative safety inside, and you know how to have enough internal locus to control. And all that means inside is like, I know who I am inside, I know what my needs are, I know what my values are. So it doesn't matter if everybody around me is jumping off a diet bridge today. 1, I don't want to do it, and 2, that seems not appealing. I don't have fear of missing out. I don't have fear of not belonging, because I know who I belong to and where I belong and what I'm here to do. And so it's like, okay, you can see that takes a process, right? But most people do come into this work like, well, okay, cool, I'll go on a diet like I did all the other 20, and it'll take 12 weeks or whatever, 60 days or whatever it is the marketing shows you, and I'll be set, I'll be fine. It's like, no, really, this takes months, if not years. Not because you're doing something wrong, because we're undoing a lifetime and sometimes multi-generational food and diet trauma. Sometimes our other traumas are overcoupled with feeling sensations in our bodies, and if we eat food, we feel sensations in our bodies, and it makes us feel like we're in threat. And so anyway, there's that. It's a process. It doesn't mean it takes forever, but it is a process that typically we need support with to stay consistent and on track. So there's that. I'm going to get to our questions and thoughts here in a second. Lastly, I would say that just recognize that, like, this is a process that's really very much weight neutral. And I know, it doesn't matter. Honestly, everybody who ever comes to see me or my team, everybody wants to lose weight. Because, again, that's the brainwashing, that's the programming of diet culture. is that weight loss is always good. And if you're already in a small body, you don't want to gain weight because that's bad, right? Again, here's the good and bad again. And recognize that it's a sickness. It's a sickness to feel like the only way you can be okay is based on what you look like. It's a deficit in our ability to grow up and become. And I know that's a hard pill for everybody to begin to swallow. It's like, oh, I know I'm going to have to sacrifice kind of doing what the culture does to be, again, mentally and physically and emotionally well. Okay, we talk about the movement and the health stuff later. Hi friends, welcome back. My phone just died, so I'm sorry about that. Let's just wrap it up by saying in this part 2 of this video about the basics is that just like with food, movement's going to have to be, what's my motive for this? Am I moving to inspire connection with my friends or family and to feel connected? Am I moving to have some vitality, just to feel some strength and some mobility? Or am I using this as a tool to maybe feed some insecurity, or because I get accolades from this? Like, that's not a sustainable nor a good reason. It doesn't really improve your self-esteem. It just feeds the ego. That if you've got a lot of shame or insecurity, it just creates pride. But it's not real health. All right. And then lastly, I just want to say, I'll wrap up the whole weight thing, is that it's normal to have fears about weight. We're supposed to, right? And part of this is recognizing that this is a values-based process. And it's not that you can't work towards, again, health if you're having struggles with your health. It's just that we do it a totally different way than presuming that weight loss will fix everything. We don't presume that at all. We actually focus on health behaviors. And so I see that's the argument of a lot of people, well, this, we're all for health, but being that big is a problem. It's like, well, for whom? If you're doing health behaviors and you're improving all aspects of your life by not dieting, then what's the problem? I think I want to tell people, get out of here with this whole fat phobia thing. Get out of town with that. If people are actually focused on physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and that threatens you, that's their gig. You don't have to worry about that. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I apologize for the interruption, and I look forward to seeing everybody in Wednesdays. Any questions or prompts from the last video, I will go back and answer right now. So thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.